Hi everybody, my name is Jennifer and this is my channel where I talk about narcissistic personality disorder, or basically bringing awareness to narcissistic abuse, which is basically emotional abuse. And so if you are someone who is going through this, know someone who is going through this, and would like to subscribe to my channel, please click the subscribe button below. I would really appreciate it. It does help my channel. And if you would like to contact me, feel free to do so, or write a comment and I will be happy to try to get back to you and answer you. Thank you so much for being here. I do like getting comments. I do like hearing from people, and I do try to get back to as many people as I can. And sometimes I even will mention you in my videos. So thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate it. I am going to just kind of wing it. I really wanted to go live, and because I do that on other social outlets, and I'm not allowed to do that, or I can't do that right now. And I don't know if it's just because I don't have enough subscribers yet. So maybe that's another reason to help me out is to subscribe, and maybe that'll help me be able to go live. I'm not really sure. It could be something that I just don't know what I'm doing because I'm new at this on YouTube. So I hope you'll have patience with me. But I am a narcissistic abuse survivor, and I come here to support you and let you know that I understand. So when you are trying to explain your situation to someone and they just don't get it, or they say that you're just being too sensitive, and it makes you question yourself and wonder, you know, if something's wrong with you, or if somebody's called you a narcissist and you're questioning whether you are, and you were thinking that that person was, know that I understand. I have been in your shoes. You are not crazy. And people like myself are here on YouTube talking about narcissistic abuse because we do understand. Some of us are coming from personal experience and some are therapists. I do highly recommend therapy. And I do think there's a lot of great information on the internet and books and different places. You can watch all kinds of documentaries and things like that. But I do highly recommend getting some therapy because you will also learn some things about you. But I will say that once you start understanding what you've been dealing with, it does help bring you some clarity in the fact that you're not crazy. And it is, to me, the beginning of the healing process. It was for me because I, for many years, questioned my own reality. I really did. I thought that I just wasn't worthy, that I just was the reason things never worked out. I was starting to believe it. There was a long time where I fought that, and I was like, no, 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 no. But over time, if you get tired enough and you've been gaslit enough, which is someone who is trying to make you question your own judgment and question your reality, they do these things. And if you're new to this channel or new to learning about narcissism, you'll understand soon what gaslighting is, because pretty much everybody who has ever been entangled with a narcissist has had some gaslighting done with them, if not a ton of it. And so I understand, and I really did, and I was going to therapy, and I was asking what's wrong with me, and I was taking tests, and I was, you know, going to different therapists, and trying different types of therapy, and reading every book that you can think of. And I just really felt so isolated in what was going on because I felt nobody understood what I was trying to explain. And it bothered me a lot because I felt like I knew, like I had some kind of instinctive awareness, yet I didn't know how to voice it. And when you're going through narcissistic abuse, there's no wounds to show. They're all internal. wounds. And so that is why it's so great that we're out here bringing awareness so that people can support us. Because when you are going through something like this, to get the support, you're going to want to be with people who understand you. And I say this all the time in my videos. So there are many things that happen, but one of the things that confuses people, and I get this question quite often, and so I want to talk about it a little bit tonight, is I have said, and many people say in the DSM, go to the DSM, and to have narcissistic personality disorder, you need to have 5 or more of the traits within the DSM. And so people will go to the DSM and they'll read what the traits are in the DSM, and then they'll say, well, I thought for sure that I was with a narcissist, but then I went to the DSM and I don't recognize my partner within the DSM. And so I wanted to talk about something that I had learned from different people on YouTube and different outlets that I've looked at. They thought about taking this narcissistic personality disorder out of the DSM because of this very reason. It's because in the DSM they describe the overt narcissist. And so when people read that, they're like, well, I mean, it's some, but it doesn't really, they're not really like grandiose in the sense that they have to be the center of attention in the room. And, you know, the person that I'm with or the person that I've been dealing with is more shy and that type of thing, and that's not what I'm seeing. And that's why in the DSM they considered taking narcissistic personality disorder out of it. However, it did remain, and they are trying to reorganize the way they talk about narcissistic personality disorder, because there is the overt narcissist and then there's the covert narcissist. And the covert narcissist, it isn't really explained within the DSM. But if you have been confused and still have been questioning whether you're with a narcissist, whether you are a narcissist, whether you are someone who is supporting someone you're recognizing some things that look like narcissism, you may want to look up covert narcissist or the vulnerable narcissist. And you may recognize what you've been dealing with. And if you are someone who has been in more than one narcissistic relationship of any kind in your life, you may have been with a overt narcissist and then been with a covert narcissist. And I didn't even know what covert narcissism was for a long time. And when I realized what it was, I personally feel like it is the worst type of abuse to go through is to be with a covert narcissist, because you just don't see it coming. And that is because they are always playing the victim. They're shy. They can even appear to be very empathic and giving. And because of their quiet nature and not seemingly like they're trying to get attention from everybody, they're doing it in different ways. So it could be that to get your attention or to get other people's attention, they play or feign sick all the time. And it's, you know, if they're a real narcissistic person, they could be faking it just to get attention. So have you ever heard of people who literally, like, they'll see some commercial on television and every time there's some new thing, they're talking about that they have it or they've had it or something like that. They're always feigning sickness, and they'll do it just so you wait on them hand and foot, just so people will say they're praying for them, just so people will feel sorry for them. And you would never think of a grandiose or, overt narcissist doing something like that, because the overt narcissist is going to be like, I'm never sick. They're too good to be sick. And if they are, they're wanting to get over it really quick, and they're going to tell you how they did it and how all the great things that they did it and how they're better at getting over things and that kind of thing. Or they're going to hide that part and they're just not sick unless you're the one taking care of them. And even then, they don't like to be vulnerable. And a covert narcissist uses their vulnerabilities to get the attention. And so it really is somebody that you may not realize. It's like you may have instinctively been questioning, like, I feel like they're always making me feel guilty for something. I'm always the blame. I'm never good enough. Nothing I ever do is good enough. So you may have all those feelings that you may have with the overt narcissist, but then you'll question yourself and be like, but everybody always says how quiet he or she is. And they did seem to do this within the office and help out so and so and so and so, and they never ask for the praise. But I can tell you, they want the praise, and they're doing things in different ways to get it. And if they don't, they're seething on the inside. So they may not yell out at you and fight with you in those ways that the overt narcissist might do. But you might get things like the silent treatment, sulking, pouting, feigning sick. These are things that you're going to maybe see with the covert narcissist. And every person is different, but you will see some similarities when you are looking up the narcissistic traits. Excuse me. And so it can be really refreshing in a weird way to be like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been dealing with the whole time, and make you feel a little bit better in some sense. And you can start to realize that, your judgment wasn't quite so off. And that is, to me, the beginning of healing. So when you think of overt narcissism, you may think of someone like I was talking about this guy today, Jim Jones. He was a cult leader, and I think that was his name, Jim Jones. And so if you've never heard of him before, there's tons of stuff on YouTube about him. There's, I think, a great documentary that I saw from, I want to say Amazon Prime, but I'm not sure. And he was mentioned in a documentary on Netflix. I know he might even, other documentary might have been on Netflix, but his name is Jim Jones. And I hope I'm saying that right. I'm gonna have to look it up, and if it's wrong, I'll have to put it below, write it in below. But he was someone who used his personality to bring people in. He was covert in the sense that he would, so that the overt narcissist can be covert as well. They are covert because they are pretending to be somebody that they're not, and they are tricking you so that you will basically do anything that they want and admire them and hang on to their coattails kind of thing. But they're not going to show vulnerabilities like the vulnerable narcissist, the covert narcissist. But so this Jim Jones was someone who used his overt personality to gain trust from people and admiration from people, and he liked being in the spotlight. He liked all that attention. He wanted to be godlike, and he wanted people to see him as like Jesus. So if you're interested and you want to see someone like that, you could look up these documentaries. He was someone that coined the term "don't drink the Kool-Aid" was came out because of this guy. And he was able to get people to commit suicide by drinking cyanide, and even children parents killed their children. And if they didn't do that, then he ended up killing them too. It's a really long story, so I'm not going to get into all of that. But if you're interested, you can look it up. And then someone who would maybe be like a vulnerable narcissist would be somebody, I try to think of people that might, like you would be able to check out. I hate to use Jeffrey Dahmer, but I'm going to use him because he's just on my mind right now for whatever reason. And the reason I want to say Jeffrey Dahmer is because he wasn't like someone, he was pretty quiet. He was very quiet. He was very awkward. He wasn't someone that, you know, he was good looking. He was a nice looking guy, but he just didn't have that personality where, you know, you would think of the ladies' man, or, you know, I think he actually was a gay man, I believe. But he, but you know what I mean? Like where you just wouldn't think of him as like that person that people are like, wanga 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 wanga, running after. And so, but he was kind of this awkward guy. He was kind of a loner, didn't have a ton of friends. And so there you go. He, you know, I could go into his person, but we all kind of know who Jeffrey Dahmer is, right? And if you want to see documentaries on him and how he was really a smart guy, but I mean, he just was very soft-spoken and not somebody that you would consider being a narcissist. And he actually is a psychopath, but to be a psychopath, you have a narcissistic personality disorder. So amongst other disorders, because they can be combined. And that gets a lot more complicated, and I am not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and so I cannot you know, diagnose anyone. I cannot, I don't even speak in those terms. So I'm just giving you some kind of information. But what I'm telling you is, in my opinion, the covert narcissist is the most painful narcissistic relationship of any kind to go through. It is so painful, and it's difficult because their vulnerabilities make them appear to be the victim, and they will play the victim, and they will point the finger at you, and they work behind the scenes as well, just like the overt narcissist, but they do things in a different way. And when you find out, it is extremely painful. And I have to tell you, it took me a really long time to begin to heal from a relationship that I had that was a covert narcissistic relationship. And it really took me to the brink of, I didn't know if I was going to come out of it. I honestly, as strong as I have believed that I am, because of things that I've gone through in my life, I honestly, for a half a second, was like, it did take me to my knees. It took me to my knees. And when I say to my knees, I was praying constantly and begging God not to leave me, because it was really a dark time in my life. But I stuck with my prayers. I stuck with the hope that we have, but I gave it for myself. And I was like, I just hope and pray every day that God is hearing me and he's next to me and he can pull me from this, because in those moments we question if anybody can hear us, right? And your friends and people that you would normally want to go to, I mean, if they don't understand it and they've never been through it, they don't know how to support you, and you can be re-victimized, and it can make it worse. So it's important that there are people like myself and other people that can support you and let you know that you're okay, and kind of give you the virtual hug or the real hug, and have support groups. And so I do have a support group on Facebook that is private. So if you are interested, you can message me or comment, and we can discuss it. But I want you to know that that is why you might be confused when you are looking up narcissistic personality disorder in the DSM, and you might question whether you've actually been with a narcissist. Until next time, this is Jennifer. Please stay healthy. Please take care of yourself and your families. I'm praying for each and every one of you. I'm praying for all of the countries. I'm praying for all of us. I'm praying for the world. I love you. Bye.